Okay, so today we're going to be talking about how to superimpose chords over a 2-5-1 chord progression. We're going to be in the key of C, and our typical 2-5-1 chords are going to be D minor 7, G7 to C major 7. But we're not going to be playing those chords. We're going to be trying out different chords over those chords to get a more chromatic sound. I got this idea after checking out the book by Dave Liebman, his chromatic approach to harmony and melody. So I definitely would check that out if I were you. This first one is going to be, I'm thinking about an F major 7 over the D minor 7th chord, which is not that unusual, and then an E major 7 over the G7 chord. That's a little strange. It's going to give us some altered tensions. It's going to give us the 13, also the flat 13th, and the flat 9 as well. And then once we get to the C major 7, I'm going to be playing a D major 7, which is kind of strange because of the C sharp, but the rest of the notes of the chord make sense. So let's try the first one out. Okay, so it's a very angular melody here, but what you want to do is you basically want to practice these and kind of start getting your own ideas, or start composing your own licks using this idea. So you can try anything out that fits over an F major 7 for the D minor chord, anything that fits over an E major 7. You can do E major, you can do a Lydian, you can do Ionian, anything that you can think of. Try it all out over a 2-5-1 chord progression. There's going to be a little bit of clashing, but that's almost intentional. And whenever you're playing with a band, hopefully the rest of the band can kind of catch on and adjust to what you're playing as well. So let's look at our second example. This one, I'm using an E flat major 7 over the D minor 7th. That's a bit more unusual, but basically what it does is it creates a D Phrygian sound, okay? Then we're approaching an F minor major 7th chord over this G7. Now over the C major 7th, I'm going to be playing an F sharp minor 9 with a flat 5. And I'm using triplets here for a kind of a strange rhythmic feel. Okay, so in this example, some of the clash is going to come from that E flat over the D. So you don't want to spend too much time on that. And on the G7, I'm actually starting on a C note, which is kind of strange, but you're not going to be on it for that long. So it's not going to be that big of a deal. And playing an F minor, basically the minor 4 chord instead of the 5 chord, is pretty common. So once you get to the 1 chord, that F sharp minor 9 with a flat 5, you have a B flat in there. So it's a little bit of a clash if the pianist or the guitar player is playing a C major 7th, but if they're playing a C6 or if they're not playing the major 7th, then everything should be fine. And even if they are, you're going to be off of it pretty quickly, so it's not going to be that big of a deal. And you're going to be landing on that F sharp, which is the sharp 11. You're going to see that I use that a lot over the C chord because it sounds really nice, that sharp 11 as a resolution. So let's move on to the third example. This one is basically just 2-5-1s. Okay, so I'm doing a bunch of random 2-5-1s. We have E minor 7 to A7, that's over the 2 chord. We have B minor 7 to E7 altered, that's over the 5 chord. And then over the 1 chord, I'm doing an A minor 7 to D7, and then an F sharp minor 9 to B7. So that last one gets really dissonant. So let's try it out. Okay, so this gets pretty strange. In the first measure, you have a C sharp, right? So that's going to be like a D minor major 7th. And The second measure, everything's pretty straightforward. It works over like a G7 altered, nothing too crazy there. Once we get to the C, the A minor 7 to the D7, not too dissonant right there. Again, it's kind of giving that sharp 11 sound. But the last measure is where it gets really strange. So we're starting on the sharp 5 of C. And then right there, we're ending on the flattened third, or the sharp 9 of the chord. So you got to be really careful about that one. There's a lot of potential for clashing there, but I kind of really like that sound. Just it throws you off a little bit, kind of implies minor instead of major just for a second. All right, let's move on to the next one. So in this one, I'm starting with a B flat major 7th. Now this works pretty well because D, again, is the third chord in the key of B flat. So just like before when we were doing an E flat major 7th, you could have thought of that as a D Phrygian or even a D Locrian sound. But in that case, I was thinking more Phrygian. In this case, it's the same thing. So B flat major 7th, the third chord of that key is D. So you can kind of think of it as like a D Phrygian, or it could even be almost a D Aeolian if it's coming from the key of F. So let's check it out. Now right here, I'm switching to the next chord already. And the next chord is going to be an A major 7 with a sharp 5. This is a really cool sound over the G7. Okay, very angular there, moving around a lot. Now once we get to the C, I'm actually taking that major 7th down a half step. So it's A flat major 7 with a sharp 5. And that's going to give you basically a C with a sharp 5 as well. There it is right there, the sharp 5. Going down the arpeggio, and then I switch to a G major 7th sound. Going down the arpeggio again, but I'm changing up the order and adding a triplet. And ending on the 6th of G or the 3rd of C. So let's do that one again. Okay, again, very angular. So let's move on to the last example here. Now this one is based off of Coltrane changes or giant steps changes. I'm thinking of the keys of A flat, E, and of course C, which is our home key. So I'm starting in the key of A flat, which is not that different from D minor or D7 altered. You can kind of think of it that way as well. Then we're going to move to B7, which will get you to the E major 7 on top of the G chord, which we already talked about. We did that in example number 1. And then actually go to a G7 before resolving to the C. So that last part is completely diatonic. We will be playing the sharp 11 over the C chord again, just because it has a nice sound, a nice Lydian sound. So let's check out this last one. It's also kind of based off of the song Donna Lee by Charlie Parker. I kind of started with that Donna Lee lick as well. Okay, you can slide into that last one if you're playing it at a slow enough tempo where you can fit that in there. But yeah, so you can kind of hear a little bit of Donna Lee at the beginning, and then I adjusted the melody to kind of fit through those Coltrane changes, and then added some things, changed it up, took it to a new destination at the end there. So there you have it. These are just 5 different examples that you can use to superimpose different chords over a 2-5-1 chord progression. Now what I would advise you to do is to work on some of these and let them kind of marinate and figure out your own way of playing over these chords. You can even you can apply the same concepts using the same chord substitutions that I have listed here, or you can try out your own. And basically anything is available to you. So you can try out any chord. It's all going to produce different levels of dissonance. So it just depends on how much dissonance can you handle and how much dissonance do you want the listener to have to endure before landing on that C or landing on the 1 chord and resolving.